I got my buddy right here.
Yeah, I see him. Fudge.
Yeah.
Okay, we are physically live. Hello, everybody. We made it. Thank you for joining us on The Insiders today, brought to you by Giant TV and, of course, Very Paranormal. And we are so excited today, aren't we, Amber? We have Mr. Robbie Thomas.
Absolutely, I cannot wait.
My goodness, the psychic criminal profiler. So we are in for a ride today, folks. We have somebody who works with law enforcement around the world. Now, this is a guy who uses his gifts to help families and law enforcement find missing and murdered individuals and bring them to justice. So it's quite exciting what you do, Robbie, and we're very blessed to have you with us today. You've also just recently filmed a show that I'm excited to see called Halloween Obsessed. So anybody else who's obsessed with Halloween, this is going to be a really cool show, because I've been watching you as you drop the little sneak previews along the way, our little breadcrumbs of what's to come. So I'm excited about that. And also, Robbie is an author, writing, like, I think you're on 8. Is it 8 or 9 books now?
10.
10. Oh my God. Okay.
11.
Oh, 11. So this is the one that I have received and thoroughly enjoyed. It's exciting, and it grips you because he follows a lot of cases that some of you will be familiar with. So without further ado, let's get into this. Welcome, Robbie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, guys, and I look forward to all the hard-pressing questions.
Yeah,
Good. Our viewers like to ask those kinds.
Exactly. So before we get started, we did have a bit of delay today, and I did ask I asked our folks on the page to give us a little insight as to why they thought we might be delayed today, and not to put Amber on the spot, but I thought
not at all.
Funny. I have to say, Robbie, do you agree? It's pretty funny why we were delayed, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Amber, but you got to tell everybody, why were we delayed today?
Because I was trying to help my daughter, and I dropped a gallon of paint all over the carpet upstairs to try to help her while I was in a rush to get ready for this amazing interview with Robbie. So it's waiting for me as we speak, and I'm cleaned up the best that I can, but I wore it.
Oh my goodness. So yeah. So you're such a trooper for like leaving that and coming and being
this is not easy. I'm going to tell you. And if all of you are empaths, you know right now exactly how I'm feeling.
Exactly.
Excited for this interview and this conversation with you two. And like, oh my God, don't think about what's happening upstairs.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, let's kind of divert your attention a little bit, Amber, and let's get going. And
let's do it.
I think one of the first, when I first found out about you, Robbie, it was through Facebook. Thank God for the powers of Facebook, because I've met so many amazing, incredible, like-minded folks out there, and you being one of them. And I'd like to say that we've kind of formed a friendship as a result of this. But I discovered about you that you do this profiling for the police. And can you just kind of give us a little insight to what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. When a murder or missing person case happens or takes place, I either get a phone call from the family or law enforcement themselves. And then what entails the work and the duty to do is we'll transpire information back and forth, like certain aspects of the case. I'll be on the phone with the law enforcement. We'll be going back and forth on computer-wise work. And if it really has to bring me to a point where I have to go down through the States or through Canada, then I get flown out and go on scene, and I go in office with law enforcement, which you have read in that book. And we will go through different cases and cases of now. Just of recent, and I give my profiling. So I'll give the characterization of what happened before the case, what happened during the case, who all was involved, how it took place, and after the case. So it gives them a broad spectrum of an ideal to work with what they have, and then they can piece it together. And it's remarkable because sometimes it's really quick. So quick that in the book, the cases you read, we found a lady alive within a half an hour. Case like that. Without giving all of the aspects away until we get in the cases. That's pretty much the gist of it. And in saying that, it's the remote viewing, it's the actual, I'm in Canada, a boy goes missing in Louisville, Kentucky. Within an hour, I have the murderer's name, where the body is, how he died, and it went to the news stations, NBC, and also to the law enforcement, which we'll get into that case a little deeper, but that's just an example of how it's done. It's very detailed information. It's not like you see, I see a red light, I see a stream, water. It's a little bit more in depth. It's murderer's name, murder weapon, where the weapon is, where the body is. That's the type of profiling that's been done.
Right. Which is very detailed. I mean, in order to do what you do, you have to be an absolute evidential medium. Like there's no cut and dry here. It's quite amazing. And I know Amber's done some work with the police. So like along those lines, why don't we talk about one that's quite a famous case that, it's a very sad case, but I think a lot of our viewers in the area will know of it, and that's Tory Stafford.
Yeah.
Worked on that case.
No case is happy, right? When it
Right.
comes to children or anybody in general. 2 days prior to Victoria going missing, I had a vision. So normally what happens, I always take my notes, write everything down. And I did my drawings. And then I went to the program director in my hometown in 99.9 to Fox FM. And I showed him, and he did a live feed. And he says on the radio, he goes, "You showed me things before they investigated the case." And he goes, "I was a skeptic, but I'm a believer now. You showed things that nobody knew." And at the time, and I turned to my wife, I said, "There's going to be a young little girl go missing around 8 years of age," which she was. Blonde hair. I see her walking into the tree line, big pile of rubble, rocks and debris like wood, a laneway, Mennonite. I see the horse and buggy. And I gave the name Gulch, but I should have, sometimes things come in quick, but it was Guelph. So, letter wise, what have you. So now, fast forward, I'm down in the precinct with Detective Brown and the family. Rodney's doing his lie detector test, polygraph, across the way. We're in another room, grandmother, Rebecca, his sister, and me. And Detective Brown's asking me questions, and you can hear the conversation, and they're alluding to Rodney, but Rodney never did it. And Detective Brown says to me, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, you're looking for that woman we have on video, in the grainy video." And I was there that day. They took the bubble and they put it around her to show the lady walking, to enhance her. It was grainy, couldn't really get a clear picture and what have you. And I said, "You're looking for an older gentleman than her, and she's trying to show her love for him by getting him this girl," which we all know that's the story that turned out to be. Now, in doing this and being in the office and going through all the parameters and things of this case with Detective Brown, all the items I gave were exact to what you read in the book and what played out in real life. Not only that, they decided we need an inside. So a lot of people don't realize this, but I was the man they planted in the mother's house because mom never went anywhere, never looked for the child. And there's a double standard story to this because of the fact that later on she got caught with Oxycontin in her car and was arrested. It transpires to a lot of things that now we're getting into the deep part of it where there's certain aspects that during the balloon release, I was told that they're looking at still to this day. And that balloon release was a long time ago for Victoria, which I can't give that information to you guys. But if you can put one and one together, you can understand where I'm going here. You know, I'm in the house. I got a very cold reception. All that was played out was not once did she say her daughter's name. All she cared about was where the money for all the donations went to, because they took her name off the charity fund, if you will. And they were doing it because she was spending money buying booze and whatever. And if you walked in her house, the whole kitchen was full of bottles. I mean, from fridge, top of fridge, everywhere, just tons and tons of liquor bottles. And I looked down the hallway and I could see two children come out of the living room, and they were holding beer. I mean, children, I'm talking 13, maybe 14 at the most. They were not drinking age. I can understand people grieve in different ways and do what they do. But the set of me being there, it was like ominous. Yeah. And I can see different than what other people can imagine. So I look to my right, there's a gentleman sitting on the stairs, and he had his arms folded, and he's not attentive. He's very down. Even his face is facing down to the floor. And I'm getting a read on these people. And then she's just saying, they came and took my computer. They came and took my white coat. She had the exact kind of coat as the girl that was walking Victoria away from the school. And then she was just very upset. And then she said, "Who's this?" And the family said, "This is my name was John at the time. So I was planted as John, friend of the family." And then we got out of there, and I decided to take a little, I don't know, you know how, Amber, you get these little intuition type things and it hits you. And I stopped, and I decided to look under the back porch. And I looked under the deck through the lattice, and there was a backpack. Now they were looking for her backpack, and there was a backpack exactly the same underneath the deck. And the mom come out and said, "Oh, we were just hiding beer in there. We didn't want them to see the beer." But then didn't add up, because your whole house is full of liquor bottles, but you were hiding the beer in this backpack under the, it didn't add up.
Yeah.
Oh, we bought an extra one. And that was another excuse. So then we leave. And sure enough, in the detail in the book, the whole case, there's a lot more to read about this case. That's, people will get into it and they'll understand. I'm just kind of brushing you through the points here. And then we have the arrest, and then she goes in the helicopter and shows them where, and then we have him arrested. This case eats me up, because can you stop the inevitable? In my 30 years of working with law enforcement and doing murder cases and being in the field, we're not just talking 2, 3, 4 cases, because that book has 15 in it. I mean, I took 15 from 30 years. Yeah. It's hard. You know what I mean? You can't stop the inevitable. Even if I would have had her name and what have you, there's a purpose for this. I know a lot of people have asked me that question. Well, you seen it happen. You knew it was going to happen. How couldn't you have stopped that? And I beat myself up over the years. Yeah. Believe you me, I have. From little children, many cases. You can't stop the inevitable. I've learned that. Yeah. So here's the lesson in this. And we take from what we get from the Creator, Great Spirit, God. We move forward in doing this. And he reaches out and touches people and says, "You're going to do my bidding today. And then tomorrow, Amber's going to do the bidding today. And then Liz is going to do the bidding a week from now." And that's how God works.
Absolutely.
And that's just the point of this one case. And I know we're going to touch upon a lot more of them in here, and they're very touching. And when it comes to children, I sat there, I cried enough tears. I've cried, I don't know how many. And do I get mad? Yeah, my blood boils. We got home, and during the course of this, they said, "If Victoria's around, could you just ask her if she's around us?" So I'm going to bed at night, and my wife gets in bed, and this is one, I think the third trip maybe to Woodstock. And I'm sitting there and going, okay, we're going back and forth. And I'm going, Victoria, make a noise now that you're here. And sure enough, there was 5 little baby knuckle knocks on the wall. And my wife pulled the covers over her head and said, what was that? I said, that's Victoria. I said, I'm not kidding you. So I asked the question, show me that you're around them so that they'll know that you're around them. They want this. So I seen a vision. It was a ball cap on top of a woman's head, but it was like a stuffed fox head on top. So I'm drawing this, and then there was nothing. So that's all there was. So I take it, put it down, I go to sleep. Next day, I fax it off to them, and I'm on the phone to Rebecca, and she says, what is this? I said, well, this is what she showed me. It's a stuffed fox head on top of a hat of woman. And all you hear the people, the family, I think they have adopted. I love that family. And every family I get to know is like, we're one. So all you hear is these gasps. They're all going, oh. And then you hear, she just bought him that hat yesterday. And I'm, what hat are you talking? And it was Fox Racing. So the emblem of the fox on the hat. And I'm clueless because I didn't like racing cars and stuff. I'm not like that guy. But I mean, I said, well, there you go. There's your proof, right? That she was around you guys. And that was like a solidification for them. At the end of the case, solidification for me was I'm at home and my children are on the floor and my wife, I bring my wife and my children to every case to get to meet all the families. So we're sitting there, and I remember the little girl, she gave me 3 M&Ms, little cousin of Victoria at the house. And she goes, that's for you, for Victoria, and for me when we bring her home. And I had those.
I know. Take a minute. Take a minute.
So I had those in my coat pocket forever, and they melted. So I'm at home, and out of nowhere comes Victoria. And her favorite thing, another validation for the family, was the butterflies and the flower. She gave me purple flower. Her color was purple. So she hugged me, and my family's looking at me hugging air, but I was actually hugging Victoria. And that was at the balloon release. We finally got him arrested, or sorry, charged, found guilty. And it was the balloon release, the last one. So she was coming to say thank you to me. That was her way of saying thank you. And then she left. And there's a lot of stuff in that book people will read.
Yeah.
The work that you do is so important, and just for the families that you keep in contact with, or that you've grown to love and respect, and to help and guide them, you're coming into people's lives at their very worst time of their entire life, and to provide anything that you can through what you're able to do is going to give them a little bit of peace or closure, or at least answer some questions, because as you say, we all grieve differently. So,
Yeah.
Having this might be great and helpful to some, and then it might still take years for others to continue through the grieving process. How do you normally receive your information, in terms of, like you were talking about remote viewing, but you go to the sites of these places? Are you doing this through, because I know when I do it, I'm doing it through like being an empath. So I'm feeling the things, I'm feeling the emotion, and I'm being guided to that space, because that's where in my head I'm getting the vision. So claircognizantly getting a vision, and then empathically getting this. So how do you get that? What's your main, when you're there, what do you get?
Yeah. There's a case I did, that's very high profile, and they said, how did she die? And I said, back in 2005, I had the newspaper and the police in the home here, and I read them, and I told them exactly who was involved, how she died. I said, I see the baseball bats, I see her being strangled, I feel it, I can smell the car, I can smell him on top of me, so I'm getting all the senses, I can see it all, I can see how she died. And I said, there's a female informant that'll come forward later on. And she did. She came forward in 2009. And she validated pretty much everything. And not only that, it's a very touchy case, and they can't give it away what it is because it's still ongoing. It involves a lot of high profile people that run the city and stuff. So in saying that, that's an example I can give you. I can feel the bat. I can feel how she died. I can smell the car. It's like I'm sitting there. I see it happening. It's like a movie. It's like real time movie. You know, and when I do the profiling before, during, and after, and, you know, we might as well go into the case in one in Kentucky there. 2 gentlemen were murdered, and they were a father-son, and there was a fire. So I'm here in Canada. One of the law enforcement individuals I've done several cases with, he had a radio show, and he brought me on. I thought we were going to talk like we're talking here about cases. It was totally different in the beginning. So I thought, oh, we're not even on it. Good. We're talking about this subject matter. And all of a sudden he goes, Rob, family's listening. We need to know. And he shot out this information to me. And I told him there wasn't just 1, 2, there was 3 people involved. And I told him exactly step by step, and he stopped me on radio and he goes, we're going to fly you down. And then I went down to Kentucky. And being there and being able to question the suspects, getting the confession from the kid when they brought out that before, during, and after Bristol board, we were in the boardroom, and Andy says, how can you get him? So we'll get the weakest link, Bobby. And I wrote down what Bobby did just before, during, and after. And he's playing tough guy, going over all, you know, he called me Mr. FBI guy. And he's going, Mr. FBI guy. And he's going, you know, what do you think? And it's really bad back. And I wasn't asking any questions at this point. It was all Andy, good cop, bad cop, because he agreed to meet us at his driveway, and we drove up in the SUV. So Andy said, you know, F it, you're going to read what he said about you. And he pulled out the Bristol board, put it on the back of the SUV. And this kid's reading that, and he literally turned white and his jaw fell, and he's just shaking his head. And then Andy goes, you asking questions. And I wasn't supposed to ask questions during this, but I think Andy got on to the kid's crumbling. So I said, I know you were there, and I'm explaining to the kid, and I know you really didn't do the deed, but you took part in this homicide of these 2 gentlemen. And he's going like this. And then all of a sudden he goes, I'll tell you everything. I just don't want to go to jail for life. I don't want to go to jail for life. I'll explain it. And I'm holding the recorder under his chin. So I got his confession. Suspect A, very raunchy individual. He's the one who did the deed. All he wanted to do was get me to go up to his driveway so he could shoot me. So I'm telling him on the phone that they're going to play on you, Ronnie. You're going to hear them in your head, because that's what they're telling me. They're going to eat your soul. And sure enough, Ronnie gave a deathbed confession, because he committed suicide, to not only one person, but a medical officer, a doctor as well. So Ronnie kills himself. So we have that. We have the deathbed confession. We have a confession on tape, a lot of different corruption. And the tape goes to one of the detectives who were on the take at the time. And let's face it, there are dirty police officers. Yes, there are. And there's dirty teachers. Yes. And there's dirty doctors. Yes. Yeah. There's dirty in every walk of life.
Every walk
right?
of life. Dirty
every walk of life.
There's dirty psychics. We know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You just can't say it's just, police are professional and,
right.
They're number one. Well, they are, but there are dirty people in there.
Yeah.
So he comes out afterwards. Me and Andy already we heard it from this kid, and we played it back to ourselves in the van, and we showed the family. So everybody heard this. Takes it, and I know there was a news team person there that heard this confession on tape too. We take it to that detective. He comes out. He was on the take with these guys, and he goes, "Oh, guys, I'm sorry." And he gives the tape back. He goes, "There's nothing on that." So he went back in there for an hour. Well, we waited in the waiting room, and he erased it, and he talked to Bobby. And then, the best part about this is, this was on NBC. This was on ABC down, or CBS, sorry, down there. It was all on the news that I was down there, and you hear me talking and interviews with a family, whatever, in the newspaper. They know we're on to them, and it's a case that's went from it's closed to the sheriff that's in there now saying no, it's open. To hopefully, because of the pandemic, folks, I have a TV series that is, I chase murderers and I work with law enforcement throughout the United States, and that is in development, and we're waiting for that, aside from this other series I'm in. But getting back to the story, I had to get that in there because of this. We're going back to do this case. We're going back to do this case. So family goes, you ain't gonna believe this. There's good cop on the inside who sends interrogation videos, and they got them. And you see the bad cop going, oh, and he's coaching them what to say. He says, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So, I mean, yeah, is there dirty cop? Oh, we got him on video. I mean, and dude, you're going down. I don't care who you are. I remember sitting in his office and he goes to me, son, and he had a stack of paper like this. And he goes, you should come and solve all these cases for me. He was trying to belittle me and berate me in there. And I turned to him and I said, you haven't seen the last of me. And he looked at me like dumbfounded. And that's sure enough, here we are. Am I scared? No, I'm not scared at all. I went through to be a cop twice, so I'm not scared of anything. You know, it comes down to doing the right thing and doing it for the purpose of families. And then when I got contacted, I was going to retire last Christmas, this time roughly. I said to Alicia, my wife, I said, I'm done. I'm retiring. I've had 30 years plus, and I've toured and done conventions and the whole 9 yards, right? Movies and whatever. I get this letter because I just finished my contract with, oh my gosh, an individual that did Dog the Bounty Hunter. And it was a producer, and the contract kind of lapsed, and we got into Christmas time. And then I got people who did Dog and Beth, 2 different shows, 2 different producers. Weird how this works out. It works out. So then I'm talking to her, the vice president, and she's for like 2-3 weeks on the phone 2 hours a day with all the cast members. I got all my law enforcement cast members and specialists and everything that are going to be on the show that you don't see in the backgrounds of doing these things. And the pandemic hit. So here we are. And then I get another contract from another major crime show. So they're sitting there. We're in a pandemic. I can't do nothing. But soon, because the long list I do have of families are sitting there waiting.
Oh, we have so many people, like even if we're just talking about in our area here, in our area. Yeah. We're talking about, you know, so many people that could use this. And right. I know even so you just do this, then this is it, right? Like you don't do, okay, because I was going to say, and I don't know about Liz, but like when I do connect to certain types of energy, I can't do anything else. I can't have like a normal routine day where I'm seeing maybe 4 or 5 people, or I'm doing a workshop, or I'm writing my book or whatever. I can't do those things because it's all consuming. So to me, it came down to, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I add a little bit in here and there? But it's very, okay. So tell me this, how do you, cause what I was getting was, if I'm focusing on one specific person, I need that to be all I'm doing so that I'm not getting other psychic information. I don't want too much psychic information when I want to focus on one family or one person.
Right.
So how do you do that? Sorry, Liz, I'm kind of taking over here.
No, that's good.
How do you focus on one case at a time, or do you do more than one case at a time?
Yeah. Good example was I get a call from, it's the FBI. There's a CIA agent's daughter missing in Maryland. And the FBI found the car washed, which means bleached, in Virginia. They asked for certain information. So I do all my drawings like I explained in the show, and particulars, and I fax it down. Next thing I know, they're saying, you're coming to Ronald Reagan Airport. They're flying me in. So I'm flying down there, me and my wife. We go in the DSA's office, district attorney's office, and there is the sheriff, the slash FBI individual. There was NSA that was there the next day, one individual. There's a CIA agent herself, the mom there. FBI didn't need to be there because they already had their notes. And he goes, this is suspect A, suspect B, and this is what she looks like. And he throws a map at me and goes, of Virginia and Maryland. And he goes, find her. So long flight, I'm tired. And I'm not angry at them. I'm angry at the situation because now I just noticed the face to the case and it makes me angry. So I go back to the hotel with my wife. I crack a beer, take a drink. I look at the map. I circle a little road. I'm done. She says, you're not done. I said, oh yeah, I'm done. And she goes, Homer, that's the detective. He's going to be upset. So we go back the next day, get in there and I hand Homer the map. He looks at it. He didn't say a word. He says, okay, let's go. We get in the car. And he drives me point A, point B, point C. Is this it? I said, stop the car, Homer. I know what you're doing. You're trying to throw me off, see if I'm genuine. It's been done this way many times before. I'm an expert at it. Yeah. So he stops the car. He goes, get out. He stands on the car, his arms folded like this. And he goes, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you knew. He says, you couldn't have known that her phone pinged off the tower between Andrews Air Force Base and the county over. And you drew that road to a T exactly what was on that road. He goes, I don't know how you do it. And he goes, I've been looking at that road for 2 years. So we brought out the dog team. Dog team comes out, we find a bag. The bag had flip phones, tools. He was missing tools out of his truck. It had a weapon in it, and it had a woman's chain, I think, and a blouse and flip-flops. So now that is evidence. While I'm there, you're talking about cases. So while I'm there doing that, in that case, we'll put that aside for a minute. We're going back to the hotel and going to get ready to leave. And radio over the radio, we know he's in town. Can we borrow him? So Homer looks at me and I said, sure. And my wife agreed because she's the boss. So she agreed. Everything else.
Love it.
And so we go up to Washington. So now we're in Washington, and if you can picture 1986 was all farmland, and then now it's $1 million homes or more, and there's excavators and there's police cars, and we roll up like this and we turn in. It's like the set of E.T. I was like, this is a movie set. And we go on scene, and there's all these police officers who are just like, and they're like 8 feet tall. I don't know what they feed them over there, but they're like huge cops. And I'm looking at these monster cops, right? And they're all just down. And this is our last dig. We found some bones. We sent them off for forensics, but they don't think it's human bones. And I said, you got an aerial photo? And the young guy goes, yeah, we do. And he ran over to the car. And John now, he's been digging since 1991. This is 2017. So he's been digging all this time on this whole area. It was a biker that shot, a very high profile biker, shot, stabbed, then had sex with his girlfriend, put her in a red sleeping bag, and he buried her. So now John says to me in the very beginning, before all this stuff I told you, he goes, you tell, and it's a funny thing because he said, we know he's here, can you borrow him? But then he gets me up there and he wants to test me. And he goes, you tell me one thing and I'll let you stay on this crime scene. And I said, okay. I look at Homer, and Homer walks away. He didn't look, he just walked away. And I'm put on the spot. And I'm looking at, again, at all the eyes of all these cops who are so just down, right? I said, she's buried, and I feel there's something on top of her. It's not cement. It's like a tank. And he stopped, and he ripped the patches off his coat of his arms, and he hands them to my wife. So I got them upstairs. I've often put them on Facebook to say, this is what it looks like to go on a crime scene if you're right. And they hand you the patches. And he hugged me, and he called me brother. And I knew right there then that was the key to keep me there. So then now I asked the young guy, go get me the photograph. And he did. And I took it and I turned it about maybe 30 degrees. And I'm looking at it and I go, look at the topography of the land. The topography of the land might have changed a bit, but follow the roadway here along the creek. And his trailer would have been here. And his sister's trailer would have been about 100 yards away over there. Aerial shot. And I said, the only road comes in is from where he is. It comes around and goes down to her, and then you have to go back out the same way. And I said, where would a tank be? And the young guy runs, and he goes, John goes, follow me. So then I go over to that place, and the young guy goes, her trailer would have been around here. And this one house, it had, I'm guessing 20 feet by 20 feet by 20 feet square, and it had railing, iron railing about maybe 2.5 feet, 3 feet high. And it had a tree in the middle and some vegetation on the side, but the tree in the land decapitated. It was like sunken in. I said to John, I said, what happens to a septic tank over like 20 years? He goes, well, it rots. And he looked at the ground and he goes, point at it. And I point, I said, there. And he goes, point again. And I said, well, if it's there, if that would be the septic tank, because her trailer was here, easy access, you would pump right there. So the septic tank's got to be there. Oh, he hugged me again, and then we're going to go get warrants. So there's 2 cases for that where you asked.
Mm-hmm.
I get home now after that. I get a phone call from the lovely mom, the CIA agent, and she's still friends with me today. Thank God. I like to be on the right side of the law. Right? Yeah, I don't need to be going to jail. So she says, Robbie, a year to the day, she goes, you found her. And I was like, oh my God, yes, right? Peace for her. And then she goes, but we can't, we don't know it's her because it's so decayed. It was like you said, a red carpet blanket wrapped. She was 100 feet from the road, and they found her. She said, we'll know in a couple weeks from the dental. So we waited and we waited some more. Finally, they came back, and she called me again. She goes, wasn't my baby. You found somebody else's murdered baby. 3 cases in one, and all that coming in at once.
Yes. It's so difficult. I had this, like, a very similar situation where I was working on one and I got led to another, and I don't know. And I just say, I'm just getting what I'm getting. It's the process that it takes. It's the process I have to go through. And this is the way we're going right now. So
right.
As long as we get something, then we're going in the right direction.
Right.
And then we'll keep looking. We'll keep going in that direction. Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's got to be, one of the things that a lot of people don't, I hear it often. I wish I could do what you do. I wish I could be psychic. I wish I could have the wisdom that you have. And I'm like, be very careful about what you wish for, because just hearing your stories, and even Amber's, over time, it is not an easy job. Just doing this for a living, just doing readings to help support, souls in this lifetime. It's not easy, because we don't get to see like fun, fascinating, wonderful things all the time. It's pretty heavy duty life shit that we're dealing with, right? And
Sure.
what you're doing, Robbie, for a living, dealing with that side of humanity, I can't even imagine. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it, especially if children were involved. That would shut me down. There's no way I could manage. I'd be in the fetal position, sucking my thumb forever. There's no way I could handle it.
I feel like they're always someone's child. That's the thing. Like, even when I'm looking at, a 40-year-old woman, like, there's someone, mostly everyone has a living parent at that age. Not everybody, but there's always somebody's child or somebody's grandchild or niece or mom or something, or father, whatever.
Yeah.
There's always a connection to them, even if they had, lived a very different type of lifestyle and were estranged, or, different types of lifestyle. Still, there's still people loving you and looking for you.
And it's sad. It's heartbreaking. When people ask me that question, and I kind of giggle, and then they say, I want to come on a case with you because I can do this. And my reply to them is, and I'm not being smart. I'm just trying to put the focus so that they can understand. I say, if you solved at least 5 cases, and law enforcement will back you up on that, you can come on a case with me, because I'm talking hundreds of cases I've done. You know what I mean? And I'm not putting my credentials on the line to have somebody come on a thing. It's just I don't know any other way to address it, really. You know what I mean? Because this is what it's coming down to. And there is a paranormal. For those out there in the paranormal field, you know, and you hunt ghosts and things, that's one thing. But when you try to turn it over and use your magic boxes and you try to go on scene and you say you're helping people doing a case, you know, it's another thing. America's Most Wanted filmed me in 2011. I'm the only psychic medium to ever be filmed by America's Most Wanted film crew. John knew of my work, allowed these guys to come down. We were doing a double homicide. International Police Chief was Kevin Smith was my partner. Rest his soul, he passed away, but he was part of Psychic Profiler, the TV series back then. So we're filming this and we got it solved. I kid you not, 20 minutes over coffee. We had the suspects taking up hotel rooms across the way from us because they knew we were in town. They were so scared. It was amazing. We had the coroner show up at the hotel with a gun. He wanted to shoot us. It was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The year prior, the headlines in the newspaper, I went down by myself and I was out with the family. It says, psychic says, case investigated improperly. Following year in 2011, we're down there filming. We got all the information. 2010, I hold a meeting with the fire chief, the coroner, the family, the incoming sheriff, some other folks, and they were taking minutes. And I keep the minutes. I keep all my records from text messages to everything. So it's proof, like in the book that you have, that shows it's all detailed properly. So you have a coroner that was a grocery clerk. And the sheriff that's in office now says to him, because he was good friends, how can you tell a man has died of a heart attack? So I asked him that question at the inquest. And he goes, well, son, I can tell if a man's had a heart attack just by looking at him. So I'm looking at everybody and now my mind's going, right? And I said, okay, this is a movie that you see on TV. How could you lose her larynx? He goes, how is my mom's fault? He goes, I did the autopsy. And I said, how did you learn to do an autopsy? He goes, well, the sheriff handed me a VHS tape and I watched it for 7 days and then the murder happened. And I said, so that gets you to be an MD? You have to have a medical license in order to become this. He goes, no, you don't. You get to be appointed. That's apparently that's how it is.
Wow.
A shame. Following year, we're filming down there. I give all my notes to the crew, everybody. We're filming and we're doing this. Now it gets to the point about paranormal ghost chasers. I'm involved in paranormal too. I've been in the movie since 2005. I started in 1978. So it's a long haul for me, all documented all the way up. But there's a stipulation in a profession that I do, then I call it weekend warriors. And the reason I'm saying that, we have to separate this. Because now we have these people going out with these ghost boxes and they're trying to get spirits to talk. And they went back to this lady and tried to do this with her. And they didn't solve the case. All they did was create a drama show. So everybody in the paranormal thinks that's the greatest thing in the world. You're interfering in cases. You're interfering with something that is going to make that case that could have been a case now look at the bottom pile because law enforcement ain't going to give a heck about it anymore because you just turned into a three-ring circus. And that's what it's turning out to be. I say it like it is because I've been in this for 30 years and you got these people that go around now who've been doing this for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, think they know what they're doing. It's upsetting. Yeah, it's upsetting because first of all, you got to know what you're doing. And there's legalities out there. I'm surprised these guys never got charged. Every state has different statutes and different stipulations. And I hope that they're listening to me because now here's a little hint for everybody. You go into there, if you're not requested by law enforcement to go in there and you go in by family only and you start giving information and if that family take it upon themselves to go do something to somebody else because of what you said, you're just as guilty as association. So back off. I mean, seriously, there's no need. And if you want to continue doing that, that's your bidding. But I mean, it's the wrong thing to do. You're doing the families injustice and you're doing them not the proper way of doing proceedings with this. Law enforcement will tell you. Amber, I don't know how many times I sat in office with law enforcement and the faxes just keep coming in from people who, and I'm not saying this to be mean either, think they're psychic and they give all these information. they have to follow these leads.
Yeah.
You have to follow these leads, and then they can determine right away if it's crap, they throw it out, garbage, whatever. But there's certain things that hit, they have to spend time and money to go and investigate what that person says. So it wastes, I don't know, a week, maybe 2 days, maybe a month, and a lot of time, power, and manpower. And it turns out to be nothing. I don't know how many cases I got called on to fix a case to do that over the years. And there's some of them right in that book. One, I'll give you a good example. Lady says he's shot and dead, and he's behind a jail in Mexico, buried. You won't find him. No need to look for him. 14 years later, this lady comes to me, and I'm opening up my psychic justice tour in 2010 to go across North America, work with law enforcement. And I pulled the family on stage at the Imperial Theater here in my hometown. I opened up my hometown, and she told me that story. So I'm explaining to the crowd what she's been doing for 14 years, and that this psychic said all this time, and she's paid this, family's paid this psychic for 14 years to keep telling her this. I said, no, he's alive, and he's in British Columbia, and I gave the town. And before that, I told the family to do their homework, to go and check out with the OPP and the RCMP. Sure enough, they found him, and he said, it's a matter of privacy. So I'm up on stage with her, and I said, what was your homework? What was the answer? She said, it's a matter of privacy. In other words, he doesn't want to be found, right? So all of a sudden you hear a voice in the audience go, and that's what they told us too. So I hop down off the stage, take the microphone from the ex-wife, who is estranged from the family because they haven't talked in a long time. And she didn't know that she was going to be there, the mom, and the mom did not know that she was going to be on stage. It's that people got the wind that I was going to be in town, and they all came out to this event. So I go up to the mom, and she says, it's a privacy issue. Matter of privacy, privacy issue. So they're being told the same thing 2 different ways by the RCMP. So he's alive. They know he's alive. They know exactly where he worked now. They got all the information. Just wants to be left alone. And others, I say, dark situations behind this whole matter too.
Yeah.
So that's a good example in the book to show that it's like Tim Hortons coffee shops. Everybody's a psychic out there. Everybody's doing this thing. Everybody has intuition. Absolutely. There's, you know, I wrote my first book 17, 18 years ago. And in there, I describe intuition, spirituality, and the difference between true ability. And it's in there. That is, people have to learn the difference. I mean, you get glimpses of things like the radio song in your head, and it does play in the radio. That's baby steps. You think the phone's going to ring. That's baby steps when it does. Ability is getting the murderer's name, knowing where that murder weapon is, where the body is, and you can do it within 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is that you have to do. Yeah, it's astounding. Take you off of this. Latest case, Bible Belt. I've done a lot in the Bible Belt. It's crazy how they think one thing, and then the second thing is I'm doing these cases in Arkansas.
Yeah.
So when you brought it up about mom, or not mom, but parents, and how hard, Amber, you said it hurt. Yeah, it hurts. You know what I mean? It hurts us because we know, right? Mom begged me, and I put other cases behind. I've never done this before. I don't know why. It's that intuition thing. Okay, I'll do it for you, Linda. I'll do it for you. And I did. And I got in touch with the sheriff and the detective, gave them my long report. They got it. Next thing you know, the detective is off the case. Sheriff isn't doing anything, right? And again, small town, big bucks people, corruption kind of. Mom says, what do I do? I said, you know what you do? I've known this for my whole life. Get the media involved, but we're not going to go local. You're going to say you're going to go on Dr. Phil. She laughed at me. And I said, no, you say that and you call them so that they know. Well, dang, didn't she do that? And it was going to happen. And the sheriff got wind of it. She told him. He went to the trailer, tore it up like crazy, took all the evidence, bagged it all up. She goes, Robbie, I never seen the man move so fast in my life. He got so many bags of evidence out of that trailer. And then it's all put into their evidence chamber, whatever. So now I'm sitting and I'm waiting, nothing more. I'm moving on to cases because it's case after case after case. So I get this weird text about a month ago. Is this Robbie? And I said, yeah. And I'm going over and she goes, I'm sorry to say, but Linda died. And I'm thinking, what Linda? And they gave me the case number reference. So I come down here and I'm checking it out going, oh, and then they send me the file. I'm going, holy crap, no way. And she died suddenly. And I promised that we'd figure this out for her. And that's what kills me too. You know, it's not the first time this has happened. So now they said, we're on the case. She hired us at the end. We're going to finish it for her. And she's not here, but we're going to finish it. But I want you to let you know, your report that you wrote a long time ago was exactly right to a T. And we found his boots in the woods where I'm sitting there and going, well, now you know what I was dealing with the sheriff and everything. And it's the three people I mentioned again. It was a woman and two guys. And sure enough, that's what it is. They're going to the two pits. I said, you'll see a bulldozer. I said, before this, there was no bulldozer there or earth mover, and the trees were all up, and there was like not really pits. But now there's two pits, and there's an earth mover, and the trees are on the ground leveled. I call it leveled trees. And she goes, you ain't believe it, but that's what they call it, leveled trees. And they're all down on the ground, and the two pits are there, and the earth mover's there. And the pit, I said, it's between 0 and 15 minutes. That's where you'll find where he'll be. Sure enough, it's 7 minutes on the dot from the pits to the house. And they did a trail, and they're going there. Actually, we're speaking, this is a live case happening right now. And they're going there in time to go in the pit to get him and bring him out.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Amazing. Just amazing. Thank God you chose to do this. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God I didn't retire.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be retiring for a while, Robbie.
I don't think so.
You know what? How do you set your boundaries though? Because I'm interested, and I'm sure our viewers are too. So do you turn down cases? Do you get insight that you're not going to be going down this road with these people? Do you say no? What do you do for self-care? We want to know. What do you do?
Yeah.
What are your boundaries? What do you do for self-care? And how do you come out of it? So what do you do to bring your energy back up?
I'm going to turn the heat off here for a second. 1 second.
Okay.
Well, I can just say we've got a couple. Well, we've got Robbie is awesome and so genuine. That's one of the comments so far.
Oh, thank you. You know, I'm just me.
Donna.
Doing what, you know, Amber or anybody would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just doing it.
Yeah.
Self-care. I pray all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, before I start a case and everything, I pray with the families. I pray and everything. My genuine thing is, I knew since I was 2 years of age that I was Métis. My great-grandfather ancestor was Chief Roque Manitowich, who, when Champlain came over, the first settlers in 1600 came and settled in New France. He was their lead guide and interpreter. And my great-grandmother ancestor, his daughter, she's very big in history in Canada. So is he, because of Champlain Company and what have you. She started the Métis Nation, and that's my great-grandmother ancestor. Their spirit comes to me. I just knew. So not only speaking to Lord Jesus Christ, but knowing the fact of that. And then, as you see, I'm Métis, right? That's me. My blood burns inside of me, and my how do you say it, lineage? My lineage is all the way down as Métis, and there's Métis marrying Métis all the way down. So I'm indigenous, and that's inside me, and I know where it all comes from. And I'm just a guy. I'm just a vessel like you. I'm just a guy. And when it comes time to be outside that box, I do what I do, and I pray. I pray a lot. And my wife is my backbone, because I take her to every case I go on. And then when I'm bitchy or I got things to say, she's there, and she takes it in, and she gets back to me, and we converse, and then we go on, right? And she's good at saying, you get it done. And once you get your said done, and you're done saying what you got to said, you're done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes sense, right? Don't hang on to it. But I have a big problem, because you see it in your show, I started crying. I mean, I hang on to it. And I hang on.
That's not a problem, though. I do not see that as a problem. I think that our emotional side is our biggest strength, Robbie.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you are allowing yourself to do that, even though you're resisting it, right? You're still allowing the emotion to come through. That's the way of releasing. And
Right.
anybody that sees that as a weakness, and we all feel that's weakness within ourselves. Don't show emotion. Be strong. We've been raised that way. And I think it's so far off base. I think we should be allowed to embrace our feelings and emotions and allow it to happen.
Right.
Tears are awesome. Tears are cleansing. There's nothing wrong with that. And if it's better out of you than inside of you, I say do it.
Right. Right. No, I agree. You know, over the years of doing all this, and we'll go back a couple steps about retiring. I couldn't let all those folks who wrote me, who sit there waiting. And I mean, I got lists waiting. I'm a bet you 2 years still waiting. But then I go, and you brought up a great question too. I wasn't ignoring you, Amber, as how do I choose which one and what have you?
Yeah.
They go in line in succession, and I go that way. Unless it's like law enforcement, like right now they call me like Andy in the book. You'll say, missing endangered lady, elderly lady, Rob, and it was really pressure. And so I said, okay, Andy, send me the case, send me a photograph, and I got her photograph online here, and I don't look at the written part. I just look at the photograph, and I'm talking to him, and I'm doing my work, and he goes, "We got officers on the ground right now. You tell me where." And I'm trying to explain to Andy, and he's ahead of the gun, and he's telling. So they go down to the creek, and I said, "No, just wait." He goes, "She's not there," and I said, "No, she's in the Bay Area. Like she took a bus to get to a Bay Area out of town." Sure enough, they found her. She was from St. Petersburg. Found her in Tampa Bay, Florida, and they brought her back home alive, all within a half an hour or so. And I think we found her about 10:30ish. And by 12:30 that afternoon, the sheriff and everybody had a big thing on TV. I watched it where they said, "We found her alive and she's home." And yeah, I mean, that happens quick in that instance, but still, like you say, then I'm back into the grind, and I'm doing the other cases where they are. The vastness of taking a TV show, people say, "Oh, you just want it for the money and stuff." You know what? I'm going to tell you straight up. I think I've earned it. Number two,
100%.
I put my life on the line where I've had death threats, my family. I've had guns pointed at me. I've had guns come at me, fighting people. I think I've earned it. And
you've earned it.
Yeah. And if anybody else out there think you can do it, get out there and do it. But here's the thing. Doing the show means I can get to all these other families quicker, because I used to take every dime I had from my book sales, movies, the conventions, and I'd fly myself to all those cases you read in that book you got there, Liz, are my money. Never took a dime. And I flew all these years, 30 years. So yeah, do I deserve it? Absolutely I do, because I could have fed my family. I could have done more with my family than other people's family. I'm not selfish, so I did that. Yeah. So when you look at the perspective of weighing this, I'm going to be able to get out there and help more people paid by the show to be able to fly me to everywhere I can go and do all this stuff for these families faster than I could say, okay, you know, I got to wait for my next paycheck to see if I can save for a plane ticket to get out there to see you.
Yes.
That's how I look at it.
That's spirit working for you.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like you may have, you know, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I feel like you may have resisted taking money in the past because you felt like you're supposed to do this for free or whatever, which is a big, you know, when you think of what it is we bring to the table, it's not a 40-hour-a-week job.
No.
There's a lot of emotional impact that, and a lot of it is like, you know, it's very trying. It's a very trying job to do. I mean, I raise a hand if you've thought of walking away from this, how many times? Because it's
tell me about it.
Right? So
like this week, all week, I have been reflecting, and I'm like, I'm changing, I'm going, I'm leaving, goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
it happens. You go through those days.
Right, exactly. So when it comes to being paid for this, and people finger pointing and saying, "You're charging what? You're doing this for money. I just say, well, when was the last time you went to a concert and got in for free? When did you last go and see Beyonce up on stage for free? When, it's a service. You never question if your gas guy is going to charge you or if the plumber is going to charge you. It's a service, and it's no different than that. So I think you deserve all the money in the world, Robbie, for what you're doing. You're supporting so many souls in this lifetime. I
just end up giving it away to charities.
Well, you deserve financial freedom, my friend, for what you do. So please know that. Please know.
Yeah, and I think that it's amazing, and the people, I'm sure after today you're going to have more people in your line of people that need help, that need someone like you to be able to bring some closure or answer some questions for their families. So you're going to have more. So you can't retire. So forget about getting back to that. We're in this. You're in those handcuffs.
Yeah, you're in it.
The spiritual handcuffs.
Yeah, the spiritual handcuffs, exactly.
That's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, I can't ever leave. Like, I don't know that we can actually ever retire.
No.
We can slow down, but we don't, like, this is who we are. You don't retire from being a woman or a man or a human. You don't retire from being psychic. You don't.
No. Oh, yeah. I mean,
sorry.
I'm thinking of it. It's like, oh God. Yeah. I'm 55 now. So, I mean, holy crap. Where do you draw the line? Where do you say, yeah, I'm going to go on a trip now and do things? Mind you, yeah, I do go on trips, but the trips I go on are either for doing filming or doing something else for another project. Mind you, it's fun. Yeah, but I've missed, oh my goodness. In that book, I can tell you right now, I've missed anniversaries. I've missed holidays, birthdays. I mean, we flew up when I told you went to Ronald Reagan Airport in Washington, did that. That was Thanksgiving. I mean, we missed a lot of things over time. My kids growing up, that really hurts me because now I only have pictures to look at and try to remember. Yes. But yet I was gone away for a week or 2 weeks here. And
well, you know what, Robbie? I was a single mother and I had to work full-time in another industry, and I missed all that too. So, it's really no different than having to work for a living. But I get, try not to get pulled down that rabbit hole of feeling, shame or pain for that, because you are doing God's work. You are doing, such a service, and your children are who they are today as a result of that.
Right.
They've got that empathy and blessing of your kindness. They see what you had to go through. So trust me, your kids got something there.
Oh, I understand. I do. And it's funny because I sit there and I know you, Amber, you must think of it, and Liz, you must think of it too. We're doing, like you say, you quit like this week 3 times probably for me or whatever. That Home Depot job doesn't look that bad. I could yeah.
Yes, I literally think of that. I think of that all the time because I think it doesn't matter what it is or what it's doing or whatever. It's just the heaviness that we carry day to day. It doesn't matter if, it looks like you're happy. It looks like you're okay. It looks like you're enjoying. Let me tell you something about myself, and I'm sure you guys feel this too. It doesn't matter where you are, how you're putting it out there, what you look like, and what you're doing. You are feeling, you are thinking, you're seeing, you're getting information, and you can't release all of it. I don't care how good of
Amber seems to be
you are. You cannot release all of it. You can't get rid of it. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we lost you a little bit there, huh?
See, I wasn't supposed it froze me. Am I gone again?
No, you're with us now. You're back now. You're back.
Okay. I was just going to say, I don't care how good of an energy clearer we think we can be. you can't release all of it. You can't, and you carry it, and you get more. It's always coming. It's always coming. So there is a heaviness, like you said back, Liz, when you said a lot of people say, oh, I wish I could do what you do. There's always two sides to everything. There's always joy, there's always pain, there's always black, there's always white, you know. So you have to experience both to understand. But yeah, I'm sure we'll want to quit 7 more times before the end of the day, but we keep going.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so true.
Oh my
well,
gosh.
let's jump from something a little lighter and fun, because we are at that time. And you've done this latest show, Robbie. Tell us about this Halloween Obsessed. This looks so fun.
Amazing. I met this beautiful lady. She's an award-winning director from LA. And I've done her radio show many times. Huge following. So when I get 5 minutes on her show, it's like doing an hour show somewhere else, right? It's like that type of broadcast. And I just love going on her show, and it's all fun, and we laugh like we laugh in here. One day she calls me up, she goes, I want you to do the paranormal side of this Halloween Obsessed. And I said, oh, what does it entail? She goes, well, anything you've done that nobody's ever done, and things where they haven't been, and yada, yada. And I said, oh, well, I've been into a belly of a volcano where there's a pirate boat and spirits, and we filmed that. You can have the film footage to that. So that's part of, people go, wow, they'll see this kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm the host and producer of my segments. And I'm just, okay, we really got to think here for a moment, okay? I'm just Rob, remember that, okay? I'm saying that. I'm just Rob, but then you got the awesome Dee Wallace in this thing. So she's offsetting me. And Dee Wallace did Cujo, she did Halloween, she did The Hills Have Eyes, oh my gosh, Critters, a whole bunch of movies, right? And she's awesome. She's doing the movie thing. I'm thinking Dee Wallace and Robbie, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? No. Yeah. And then they say, oh, and then we got Leonard Skinner's keyboard player. He's going to do all the music for it. And, oh my gosh, this is a first-rate show, right? Yeah. And there's some other, Mark Cardone's going to be in it. There's some other great celebs are going to do their things, but I have the paranormal thing of it and the psychic side of things. And then there's the monster movie type things, and it goes on down the road. I'm thinking, holy smokes, this is fantastic, right? So yeah, I've been putting these little teasers on Facebook, showing the filming I got done, who's going to be involved. You know, it's going to come out this year shortly. And teaser trailers are coming, by the way. So I can't wait for those.
Okay, well, give them to us, Rob, so that we can share. Because we'll share.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now in July, I'm going back down in that volcano on the island. And it's amazing because I've shown pictures of how we got down. Let's see here. 1994 was down there. 2015 was down there several times again. And then another time, I forget the date, but then we're going again. And we're going to film extra for this so I can send the extra footage to her. But yeah, it's amazing. It's phenomenal down there. You hear the sulfur pits bubbling, you smell it, you see the lagoon down there, you see the pirate rowboat in there. Spirits are there because they died down there.
Yes.
And it's just amazing. It's 300 feet straight down. And Wow. Last time we were there, the ceiling, it's the largest volcanic cap in Europe. This volcano, the oldest too. We were filming, and all of a sudden you hear crack, crack, and then a bunch of noise and splash and bang and splash. Part of the volcanic cap let go. And if you can picture 3 football fields long, this is how big it is down there. But it sounded like it was right here next to me.
Gosh.
And all the younger people who were there made it up to the top of this 300-foot spiral staircase like that. And you got all us old fogies halfway through going, dying, right? Making up the steps. Am I going to die?
Like, yeah, that'd be me. I'd be like, I guess I'm dying today.
Is this my moment? Yeah. Is this where I'm going?
Yeah. Is this it?
Is this it? Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch this. Like, holy smokes. What an awesome thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Yeah, we'll share and make sure everybody else is watching too from our side. And
perfect.
Yeah, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah. And, you know, folks can go to my website and there's actual snapshots there of the in filming that, oh, it was really cool. You know how spirit works. We all do. So I'm sitting there and I see this picture online of this chair, Gothic Victorian big back type thing like this with the wood, all that's right. I said, I want that chair. And I said, if anybody knows where I can get a chair like that to buy, right? To buy. And somebody wrote me back and goes, I know somebody who has that exact chair within 20 minutes. I said, are you kidding me? No, and they live 20 minutes from you. I said, are you kidding me? So we used that chair and it turned out to be the producer and host of a tattoo show in Canada that's now in their 3rd season going on Netflix. It was fantastic.
Wow.
See,
Yeah.
this is the exact thing that I tell people. If you want something, you have to know exactly what you want, specifically put it out there and ask for it. And then you wait and it'll work itself out, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, so cool.
Well, Robbie, you've just been amazing and
Yes.
thoroughly enjoyed hearing your stories and
Thank you for having me.
sharing with us.
Anytime.
Yes, we'll have you back again, maybe when that gets launched. And I know you've got something else you're working on. So when that takes off, we'll get you back on for that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, ladies. Awesome.
Oh, it was a pleasure having you. And this is my first time meeting you. So yes, and please tell your beautiful wife, thank you for sharing you with the world, because she sacrifices too, your family does. So make sure she knows. Big kisses and hugs from Liz and I, and keep doing what you're doing. And we will, you haven't seen the last of us.
No, that's good. That's good. That's good.
We'll be seeing you again, Robbie.
No, you will. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.